Didn't you watch the previous episode of Sakura's Tale? Well, let me summarize for you what you're missing. After the disagreements between Sakura and the troublesome student Tsuji Shida calmed down thanks to the intervention of President Omiya, the role model of all Furin School students, Tuma decided to take them on a tour of the city. The tour was boring at first, until they met a group from the rival Shisht of Torin School. The matter developed into a big problem, because Sakura crossed the boundaries of their district and one of the students was beaten. Gumi, the leader of the Torin Shishite group, arrives and puts Sakura in trouble before they all return with Tuma to meet President Omiya. The shock was great when they saw the head of Furin, a simple-looking figure that was far from their imaginations. What will happen next? This is what we will discover today. But first, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Tuma went to Omiya to tell him what happened, while everyone was shocked by the appearance of the Furin boss. As soon as Tuma started listing the problems they faced, Omiya surprised them by knowing in advance what had happened. The group was greatly astonished. How did Omiya know about all this? And from where? Sakura looked confused, not believing what was happening. But the biggest surprise was when Omiya stated that there was a real misfortune, which was the end of the planting seeds. Everyone stood still, unable to believe what was happening, especially with Omiya being serious as he spoke. He pointed to an empty place in the middle of the plants and asked Tuma if he wanted to grow something to eat later. Tuma tried to tell him about Shishet Torin's problem and asked him to leave the matter of the cultivation aside. But Omiya interrupted him, saying, "Don't tell me you want hot Cheeto peppers." Toma jumped up in horror and told him that this type of pepper would cause him severe heartburn. Omiya asked him if he was sure he wanted it, and Tuma replied yes, thinking that he had to take stomach medicine because of that pepper. Sakura believed that Omiya was actually Furin's boss, although it was hard to believe. Shida got angry at Sakura's mockery, so he pulled his shirt trying to quarrel with him. Omiya comes in to calm the situation, so he asks them why they are here in the first place. He took them on a tour of his crops, showing them tomatoes, green peppers, eggplants, cucumbers, and other plants, expressing his happiness with them. Everyone was in a miserable state, not caring about the plants, and each thinking about his own problems. Tuma became fanatical and told them that he would not listen to anyone, and that he was the only one talking here. He began giving them a lecture on agriculture, using the same childish style that had surprised Sakura. How does someone like this get so much respect? Poor Sasaki, who had been beaten up by the students of Sheshit Torin, broke down and asked Omiya for a chance to explain. She suddenly bowed down in front of him, much to Omiya's dismay. Sasaki began to narrate what happened, how he saw someone trying to steal from one of the stores in his province, so he chased him until he reached the Shesh Torin area. He was expelled by the students of Shishet Torin and thought he would have died had Sakura and Shita not intervened to save him. He tells Omiya that he always dreamed of joining Furin and tried to be one of them, but he caused a big problem and ruined the situation instead of improvement. He broke down crying and apologized to Omiya for everything that happened. The place was silent before Omiya surprised them with a smile. Sasaki was amazed. How did Omiya know his name? But the biggest surprise was when he found him thanking him. Sasaki stood in shock while Sakura's gaze was filled with confusion. Sakura's desire and insistence to protect the city were the driving force behind everything that happened, so there was no need for Sakura to apologize. Sasaki listens to Omiya's words and takes advantage of them, especially because he and the others respect him as their older brother. They trust him to handle things, which is why Sasaki feels reassured after hearing his explanation. He expected things to be much worse and asks how he managed to escape. Sasaki then recounts the entire incident, including how they defeated the boy from Shesh Torin. Omiya is surprised by what happened with the Sheshet Torin boys and their actions, especially Sakura and Sugita. He is impressed and laughs hard at the incident involving the Shishet Wayne gang. He mentions that he knew that talking to them would be useless, but it seems that they got what they deserved. The others are surprised by his reaction, expecting him to be angry instead of calm. Tuma apologizes for being responsible for them and for being there during the incident. However, Emiya assures him that he always tries to take responsibility and blame for everything, even though he was the one who asked Tuma to keep an eye on them. Tuma tries to deflect the blame and insists that Sakura provoked them and caused the problem. Sakura is upset and tells him to keep his opinions to himself, as he has nothing to do with it. Sakura was about to confront them, as he was already looking for a fight. Sakura comments on their arrogance and how they only choose those who are weaker than them. He insults them and finds them boring. In the end, everyone shuts up and looks at him. Sue notes that Sakura brought this on himself and was not provoked. They notice Emiya getting up and approaching Sakura, making Sakura nervous and unsure of what to expect. He prepares for a fight, feeling it is inevitable. However, to his surprise, Emiya extends his hand towards him. As Sakura prepares, Emiya puts his hand on his head and tells him that he is right and that everything he said is true. Sakura is speechless and confused by what is happening. Emiya follows, praising him for being right about their boredom and admitting his role in saving Sasaki. He thanks him and expresses his happiness, declaring that Sakura is their little brother, someone they can count on. Sakura is completely shocked and tries to process this strange situation. His ears burn with embarrassment, and his initial anger begins to fade. He begins to understand why everyone is so attached to Emiya and feels a sense of security with him. However, Sakura, out of embarrassment, tries to downplay the situation and says, Whose little brother? Don't look down on me." Emiya laughs and explains that he considers everyone in the city like his family. Still embarrassed and upset by his approach, Sakura feels overwhelmed. Neri sits next to him and laughs at his reaction. Suddenly, Tuma's phone rings. It's Kage, his classmate from Fury. He asks about the situation and is shocked to learn about Shishet Turin's group. Emiya is upset and asks if something happened. They hear someone screaming from school and see Kaji being beaten and thrown to the ground, clutching his hair. Emiya rushes over to see who's talking on the microphone with everyone. It's the leader of the Shishet of Turin, Shoji Tomiyama, and he looks very happy. He announces his intention to challenge them to a fight. Neri is the first to react with shock upon being recognized as the leader of the Shishet of Turin. They all go through a wave of panic, but Sakura tries to remain calm, thinking that he must be stronger than Gotogami and that this is an opportunity to kill someone strong. However, Emiya suddenly disappears behind him, moving at an incredible speed. He quickly puts on his jacket and Tuma follows him. Sakura and Sugeta followed closely behind. Neri shouts, asking where Emiya is going and urging him not to leave them alone. He then notices Sue heading outside as well, with Sasaki. He begs them to wait for him. When Emiya sees Sakura following him, he tells him to stay put. Sakura protests, stating that if there is a fight, he will participate. Emiya replies in a terrifying voice, warning him not to speak again. Sakura freezes in fear, along with the rest of the group. They are unable to move, even though Emiya was laughing and acting cute moments ago. They feel like they have undergone a complete change. Emiya comes forward and sees Kaji lying on the ground. He tells him that it belongs to Furin, and Tomoyama goes crazy. He assures him that he already knows this and tries to provoke him by asking him if this matter bothers him and if he is ready to fight. He ignores this, and Omiya tells him in amazement that he looks very happy, and everyone stands in shock at Tomoyama's boldness that made him challenge Omiya. Tomoyama laughs in a strange way that suggests he is mentally ill and behaves in an abnormal way. Tomoyama tries to provoke Omiya further into fighting and challenges him to a one-on-one competition. He claims that the Furin school was the one who started the problem and provoked them first, and now they are a potential cause of a war between the two teams. Tomoyama jumps and runs around Omiya, shouting at him to fight with him, and Sakura is surprised that Tomoyama is not calm, as if he is wearing an electric belt. Tomoyama tries to provoke Omiya, saying that they were the ones who started the problem and beat up one of their students. Omiya responds to him, but they also beat up a large number of Furian students, so they are tied. Tomoyama is surprised by Omiya's reaction, which was not what he expected, and tells him that what he is talking about is true. Neri grabs Sakura in horror, and asks him if he will leave now that he is satisfied. Omiya says that he should turn around and go back the way he came, while Tomoyama laughs and runs up to him and kicks him in the face. Everyone is shocked by what is happening, and they cannot understand what happened. Omiya remains in control and calm. Omiya grabs Tomoyama's leg before she can touch his face and tells him that it seems he hasn't learned patience as it is. Tomoyama gets mad again and tells him that this is his first attack, and now it is his turn to take his rights and hit him. Tomoyama continues to jump around Omiya and provokes him, saying that he will hit him, to which Omiya responds calmly and with a serious look, asking him why he is so determined to fight with him. Tomoyama is surprised by the question and tells him that the issue is not just a fight, but that he wants to challenge him personally and confront him. Everyone is shocked by Tomoyama's audacity to challenge Omiya personally, as the dispute is between the two groups and not a challenge between people as Tomoyama wants to make it. Tomoyama continues and tells Omiya that the topic has become boring, as he is always number one and has no competitors and no one with his strength to enjoy fighting with him. Even though Omiya is also the strongest and number one like him, but he is always laughing and happy with his life. Tomoyama wants to take Furen and everything from him because he feels that Omiya is better than him and wants to take everything from him to be as happy as him. Neri is surprised by what is happening and does not understand this nonsense. Tomoyama is surprised and does not understand anything. Suddenly, someone appears from behind Tomoyama and says to Omiya, "What is this nonsense and madness that your boss is saying?" Tomoyama is also surprised when he looks behind him and sees all the members of the Shishitori gang coming, and they say that Tomoyama is their leader and he cannot go into battle without them, so there is no need to bully people. Omiya looks over and sees Gotogami among them and tells him that he didn't expect to see him here. A conversation takes place between Gotogami and Tomoyama. Goto expresses his dissatisfaction with Tomoyama's haste as he rushes off as soon as he hears the news, even though he needs to hear all the details first. Tomoyama notices Sakura in front of him and comments, "What a nice coincidence." Sakura Goto snorts angrily, but Omiya intervenes and tells everyone to stay in their places and not interfere. Sakura protests, "If it's a one-on-one fight, that's fine. I won't interfere. But if it's a team fight, I'm capable of facing them alone." Omiya looked at Sakura with pride and pride. Tomoyama starts moving anxiously and tells everyone to stay away, as he wants to confront Omiya alone. "Look around you," Gotojami replies. "Don't you realize how hard it is?" When they turn around, they find the entire school standing at the windows, monitoring the situation and ready to intervene. Everyone is shocked by this terrifying scene. When someone let out a scream, of course Neri looked at their faces and thought to himself that the situation was getting out of control and getting much worse. At that time, Omiya said loudly in front of them, telling them not to move, threatening that he would crush them all. He then called Tomoyama and presented a challenge to him on the condition that his men return. While Tomoyama was thinking of a response, one of the young Shishitori named Rima came out and sparked controversy by asking whether he was afraid of them or not, and declared his challenge to him after that. So Sugata became angry and threatened to break his skull. He replied sarcastically, "Calm down a little. There is no need for all this nervousness." The members of the Shishitori group continued to provoke him, saying, "You seem to be afraid. It seems that you're afraid of losing to us, because you know that we're better than you." Tension rose and a group fight almost broke out until Sue intervened, saying, "Stop acting like little kids. You seem as cute as kids." Everyone was shocked by his response. The cynic continued his sarcasm until Gotojami suggested, "It's starting to get dark. It's best for you to choose another day to confront." Wataru objected, "What are you saying? Let's fight today. This isn't just a quarrel, it's a matter of dignity." The group wasn't planning to attack today, but Tomoyama was in a hurry, as he preferred to fight at night so as not to see his opponent's face swollen from the beating. To make Tomoyama feel victorious, Goto turned to Sakura and said, "Are you ready?" Sakura responded defiantly, "Night or day, there will be no features left on your face after I flatten you to the ground." Tomiyama was surprised that they knew each other and suggested, "Instead of us all fighting against each other, why don't we go together?" Omiya was surprised and did not understand what he meant, so Tomiyama explained, "I did not mean to turn it into a war between the two teams, but each of us can fight against one of the other team. A one-on-one competition in the form of rounds. It will be more civilized and fun, too." Goto Jame liked the idea and described it as a kind of individual competition between the two teams. Deciding to invite them to a big match divided into rounds, Gotogami immediately agreed and began announcing the competing pairs: Tomiyama versus Amiya, Sakura versus Tuji, and chose Arame and Su Geishita to compete against each other. In the end, Su met a cute kid, and Amemiya told Toyami that he would definitely defeat him and there was no need to involve the rest of them in the matter. No, it'll be fun," Tomiyama replied. But Sakura and those with him interrupted them and told Amamiya that they wanted an opportunity to attack him, and this was a good opportunity. The scattered Turin team got excited, and Tomiyama laughed and said to Omiya, "Look, they agree. They seem to be this year's first-year class," Tuma told them. "Their strength is immense, their hearts are strong, and they are eager to test themselves as soon as possible." But suddenly, a shesh named Saku appeared and asked to participate as well. Wow, the competition is fierce. He announced that he wanted to challenge Tuma. Tuma was surprised when he saw him and seemed to know him well. Tuma got angry and apologized to Omiya and announced that he would participate in the competition as well. They agreed on everything and decided who would compete against whom in this high school tournament. Each of them stood in front of his opponent with sharp and serious looks, as if they were challenging each other from now on. Furin's team prepared for the confrontation, but let's go back in time 18 hours, when they were all sitting in the Tachibana restaurant, and Neri was definitely shaking with fear. Neri was crying loudly, and his drunkenness was asking him to stop shouting because it was all his fault. Tachibana came and gave them food and told Neri to calm down, but he told her that all of Furin might disappear tomorrow. Tachibana tried to calm him down, assuring him that his fear would do no good and that Furion was not that weak, and he knew that very well. The confrontation had been agreed with the shesh Turin group for tomorrow, and there were only 18 hours left, which further fueled Neri's collapse. Neri scolded Sakura, holding him responsible for what was happening, so Sakura tried to make him understand that the confrontation would be an individual one without complicated plans. Neri finished his meal and they prepared to leave, and they talked about the Shitoran group's possible delay in order to create an excuse. And they explained that the reason they were at this restaurant was because of Omiya's suggestion, as it is a famous restaurant in the city and is famous for the presence of Tachibana, which everyone loves, including Omiya himself. Omiya went up to Tachibana and told her that she had beautiful hair today and that she looked great, then showed her pictures of the plants he planted with great enthusiasm. Sakura did not understand the reason for this enthusiasm, so Omiya explained to him that he liked this place, and Sakura mocked him, saying, "You mean you like the owner of the place, right?" Omiya explained that Tachibana is his younger sister, but she denied it, explaining that she is not his sister and is not related to him. Sakura asked her about the nature of their relationship, and she told him that they were raised in the same shelter and people considered them brothers. Sakura was bored with the story and said, "Is that all? I was waiting for a great love story. And an exciting ending? And in the end you tell me that you are brothers? How old are you, actually?" Tachibana replied, 16 years old. Sakura responded sarcastically, 16 years old? You look like you're 20. Before he could finish his sentence, she forcefully threw the chair in his face, and he screamed, saying, "You were going to kill me." Omiya tried to calm the situation, stating that this was evidence of their maturity. This is how the video ended. If you want to know more about what will happen, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive the video as soon as it is released. I hope you like the video and wait for the next video. Peace.